and welcome everyone to this afternoon's webinar on Selous Safari Company in Tanzania. For those of you who haven't attended our webinars before, the presentation will last about 20 minutes, and please feel free to write any questions you may have in either the chat box or the Q&A box, and I'll answer them at the end of the presentation. So Selous Safari Company is 32 years old. It was set up by a man called Charles Doby, who was one of the first kind of pioneers really into the Selous Game Reserve. And a lot of their staff have been there right from the start of the company. The company is it's very well established, it's very efficient. They are very genuine and very passionate about showcasing these off the beaten path destinations of southern Tanzania. For those of you who attended my joint presentation with Nomad and Acilia a couple of weeks ago, we basically did a kind of overview of the different areas of Tanzania that are really kind of, as I say, off the beaten path. And what I wanted to do today is focus on Selous Safari Company and the properties they have within particularly 4 of those areas, which is Jongomeru, which is in Ruaha, Siwandu Camp is in the Selous Game Reserve. Then they also have Ras Kutani, which is just south of Dar es Salaam, and Fanjove Island, which is just south of Mafia on the southern Tanzania coast. So one thing before I start is we have got incredibly special offers, special rates. We have our low season rates for the past couple of years now. We've run the low season rates all year round. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for you guys to sell us. So we literally have stuck on one rate all year round. The season runs from the 1st of June through to the 15th of March. So literally, we should be, if it wasn't for COVID-19, we should be about to open for our new season. But it's one rate all year round, and we also have, that rate is combinable with our stay pay offers, which are 4 nights for the price of 3, 7 for 5, and 10 for 7. This means that by using the Selous Safari Company properties, you can make a real kind of a variety of itineraries that will really suit anyone. So what I've got here is a PDF, which I'll send you as a follow-up to our webinar, which gives you an overview of, at a snapshot, if you had clients that had 7 nights, had a certain amount of budget, what you could really offer them in terms of Selous Safari Company properties for their night stay and their budget. So I'll send you this PDF and as a follow-up, and also we have more detailed PDFs of these itineraries, which are quite useful sales tools for you, which I'll make sure I send through to you in my email follow-up. We also, by the way, will be recording this webinar, and I'll be sending you the link to the recording. So if you want to forward it on to your friends and family and anyone else who might be interested to watch it, then please do. So how to get to the different properties first? Well, all of them are very easily accessed by regular flights. So Siwandu and Selous, there's a number of different daily flights from Dar through to Siwandu. Airstrip, it's about a 45-minute flight from Dar. And we have Coastal, Safari Airlink, Uric Air, and Zan Air, who all fly into the Selous. So it's very, very easy access from Dar. To Jongomeru, which is in Ruaha, you can fly from Dar and Selous. There's also a fast flight from Migration Capital and a fast flight from Kilimanjaro and Zanzibar as well. Now, obviously, in light of COVID-19, we don't know exactly, normally we know the timetables, we don't know timetables at the moment. So obviously, I presume as and when tourists start coming back, the airlines will kind of confirm their timetables, but at the moment, I don't know exactly what timings are. So obviously keep an eye on that, but there are regular scheduled and charter flights throughout all the different properties. To get to Ras Kutani, you can actually drive. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive from Dar es Salaam, or if you wanted to charter a flight, it's only a 10-minute flight, so it's very, very easy to do either. We often recommend that guests actually, if they want to do both, they actually drive in and they charter a flight back. So that means that if, for example, you're connecting to an international flight, you then can be absolutely sure that you will get there on time, because sometimes the traffic in Dar es Salaam, like so many African cities, can be a little bit congested. And then Fanjove Island, I'll talk more about how to get there. That's all part of the kind of the attraction of the island, is how to get there. But it's a 40-minute flight from Dar es Salaam down the coast to, it's a beautiful, beautiful flight following the Tanzanian coastline, down to Songo. It's actually the same flight as Mafia Island. I've just got a message saying she's here, but she can only see me. Hopefully you can see can you all see my presentation? Hopefully you can. I have a bit of a fear because I did a presentation a while ago. You may have been on it, some of it, and I actually did the whole presentation and forgot to share my screen. So you saw me do the whole presentation, which was not really the point of it. But anyway, so to get to Fanjove Island, you fly from Dar es Salaam. It's a 40-minute flight down the Tanzanian coast to Songo Island. It's the same flight as Mafia Island. So you stop at Mafia and you do a short hop onto Songo. But as I say, I'll go into that in more detail once I get to that stage of the presentation. So just to start with Ras Kutani, because this is what we find a lot of people actually start with. It's a perfect stop for guests who maybe have come particularly from different time zones where they want to come and just get over their jet lag for a day or two before going on safari. So Ras Kutani is just south of Dar. It's, as I say, only 1.5 hours flight drive from Dar es Salaam. There's 6 cottages and 2 beach suites. It's a perfect stop and chill out beach destination. It's not like Zanzibar where there's stone town, there's spice tours and different things to do. It's literally, Ras Kutani is a very beautiful beach. It's very chilled. You can go and do a walk to the village. You can do a beautiful lagoon walk around the property. It's just the perfect place if you've got clients who just want to have a couple of days, or probably 4 days max on the beach. It's a perfect place to either start or end your itinerary. So if you're flying into Ras Kutani, you fly into the airstrip and then you're met by one of our Land Rovers that brings you down through the little forest, and you actually get met by this boat. So you actually road across. So the first way you arrive is by boat if you fly. If you drive, you then come in our back entrance, which isn't quite so romantic, but it's still very nice. Ras Kutani is on the mainland coast, so it has a permanent tide as opposed to Zanzibar, which has a tide that goes all the way out. So the water is always there, which means you can swim in it. It can sometimes be quite strong, as you can see in this image here. It can sometimes be quite strong, but we've got boogie boards, and if you're a good swimmer, I mean, most of the time it's not strong, but it's nice because the water is always there, so you can always go swimming in it. This is our lounge area and then lounge bar. These are the hillside suites, which are located, as the name suggests, up the top of the hill. It's probably, if you've got clients that are older, maybe a little bit more unsteady on their feet, it's not so good, only because the pathways are all sandy. So if you're climbing a hill on sand, it's, as you can imagine, can be quite hard work, just for people who are maybe a little bit more, not quite so mobile. But these suites are beautiful though, because they're bigger, they've got an outdoor plunge pool, they're actually in the trees, they're actually kind of right up in the forest. So it's amazing, because you can wake up to the sun, the monkeys all around you, and they have this beautiful view over the forest and over the ocean. This is the outdoor plunge pool. And then these are the lagoon cottages. So when I first went to Ras Kutani, I always recommended that people pay the $50 upgrade to stay in the suites. But actually, the next time I went, I stayed at the lagoon cottages, and these were equally as beautiful because you're right overlooking the lagoon and the sea, and very, very spacious. So it's just the perfect place to stop and chill out before going on safari. So then what would often is a common next stop is Selous and Suandu. So Selous works really well with, if you've got clients who may be on a shorter itinerary for a bush and beach experience. So Selous is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was set up in 1982 as a game reserve. I'm not sure if all of you know, but in December they actually announced part of it's going to become Nyeri National Park. So the northernmost part of Selous, which is the area where we're in, and most other photographic safari camps are in this area, is actually going to be gazetted and made into a national park, which is actually really good news, because it will then come under TANAPA, which is the Tanzanian National Authorities and National Park Authorities, who have a lot of resources. They're very, very efficient. They have, in terms of poaching or conservation, they've got a lot more monitoring resources. They have affiliations with some very, very strong conservation groups or movements like Frankfurt Zoological Society. So actually this area of the Selous, the northern part of Selous, 30,000 square kilometres is going to be, and it's going to become, well, in December it was launched as Nyeri National Park. It's going to take a while to transition across from being a reserve to the park, and actually in terms of guest experience, it won't change massively, other than the fact that actually, because it's now TANAPA, it's going to be, they've got more resources. So actually it's a very positive thing as well. The other thing I should mention about Selous, which some of you may have heard about, is the Stiegler's Gorge Dam, which is located in this area here, Stiegler's Gorge. And this is a hydroelectric dam that was actually launched in last summer. And it's a 3-year project. Tanzania is very, very short, like many African countries, is very, very short of electricity, desperate need of electricity. So they are actually in the process of building this dam, and it's quite a contentious dam because it's in the reserve. But again, it's in an area where really, it's about 50 kilometers away from Suandu, but to drive there is very inaccessible. So in terms of photographic safari experience, it won't affect the guest at all. And actually has been done, and the area it's in really was not, it's a kind of pretty inaccessible area. So it is contentious, but it's also in desperate need of Tanzania's in desperate need of it, and it doesn't really impact the guest stay at all. The reason why I'm raising these issues is I think it's important for you to know. Ultimately, you've got to remember that Selous Game Reserve is the size of Switzerland. It's absolutely enormous. It is, in terms of the guest experience, it's only got about 9 photographic safari camps in it. So the guests that stay there, won't see another safari vehicle. They don't have the migrations like we get in Serengeti. So you don't have huge herds, but you have a lot of prolific game around this area, particularly the area where we're located, because it's on the lakes. So there's a lot of water there. So obviously the animals gravitate to this area. But it's ultimately, it's a very kind of wild safari experience. The game there is phenomenal, but it's also, it's very private. So you'll hardly see any other vehicles. You will be the only guests, maybe with the herd of elephant. It may have taken you slightly longer to see that herd of elephant. You don't have all the vehicles driving around with the guides communicating, but it means that when you are there, it's even more precious. So talking about Selous, I'm just going to quickly, just got a couple of questions, which I'm going to actually view at the end because I can't see it while I'm doing my presentation. So I'll do my presentation and then close it down and actually be able to view the questions. So Suando itself, as I mentioned earlier, Charles Davey, the owner of Selous Safari Company, was one of the first pioneers to go into the Selous. And Suando is actually in its 3rd or 4th reincarnation. It's been kind of affected over the years by El Nino and various other things that have happened. But being a true pioneer, he's persevered, and Suando is just on the most amazing location because they were one of the first people to go in. They've got this prime location on Lake Nzakira, in the northern part of the Selous. As I mentioned, it's very easy to get access there. It's only 45 minutes flight from Dar es Salaam. The rates are the same rate the whole year round. It's 790, but don't forget, we've got our stay pay, which lasts all year round as well. And that is 5 for 4, 7 for 5, and 10 for 7. And you can mix up the Selous Safari Company properties within those stay pays as well. So the key things to do in Selous and in Suando is, Selous is one of the only places in East Africa where you can have a water-based safari experience because they've got the lake in front of them. First of all, it creates a very different vibe. It's a very relaxed, beautiful camp because all the rooms are overlooking the lake, but also it means you can go fishing. You can go on our amazing pontoon boat where you go out and, I'll show you, and you can go out and do kind of boat great game drives where you go off, and we'll do, particularly if you do maybe a walking safari, you'll do a walking safari, end up with a breakfast, a bush breakfast, and then met by the boat and then brought back. So it adds a very different dimension. It's a really just beautiful backdrop to the whole of the camp. So the camp itself has only got 10 rooms. All the Selous Safari Company property is very small. Suando's only got 10 rooms, and it's divided into North Camp and South Camp. South Camp have 6 rooms and North Camp have 4 rooms. And the reason why they decided to do this is because particularly now, they wanted their guests to feel like they're really part of a very small, intimate camp. And the reason why they created these 2 camps together was because if we had, say, maybe small groups traveling together, we could then put them in their own camp. If we weren't full, we could put them in South Camp, and then if we were full, you open up North Camp. So it's actually a very clever design whereby logistically you run the 2 camps very easily together. But from a guest perspective, they only ever feel like they're one of 6 rooms, which, in light of all what's going on at the moment, the constant research that's coming out is people are going to want small, exclusive, spacious places to go to, and that's what Go on Safari in Africa, and particularly this area, is all about. So this is the breakfast overlooking the beautiful lake, and then the rooms. The rooms are designed in a kind of hexagonal bedroom area, so the air circulates very easy. And when I first went there, I went there in late September, which was quite a hot time. I came from Zanzibar and Pemba, which was really humid, and I got to Selous and it was really hot, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just never going to sleep. But actually at night the temperature really does drop, so it's very comfortable. We've never had complaints about humidity or heat at night, so it's whilst it can get very hot during the day, the way the tents are designed and the way the air circulates, it's really very comfortable at night. They all have these wooden verandas overlooking the lake, with a bathroom view as well, and outdoor showers. Every room has their own personal butler, so you get assigned the same person that look after you throughout the whole time, which guests really like because they really get to know their butler very well. This is the North Camp swimming pool, so both camps have their own swimming pool, and then the South Camp swimming pool. And this is our pontoon boat, which we always leave as a surprise for guests. We normally do it on their first lunch, or if they've come in the afternoon for their first sundowner, and we get to come down to the dining room, and then there they are, their lunch is set up on the table, and off they go having lunch with kind of crocodiles and hippos kind of floating past them, or they're floating past the crocodiles and hippos, and they love it because it's just a really fun, very different thing, very different experience. So game walks is another thing we offer because Selous was a game reserve and is now changing into be a park. One of the biggest differences between a reserve and a park is that if you do game walks, you have to, if you're in a park, you have to have a Tanapa ranger with you. That at the moment is in the process of being probably going to be phased in, because you can't suddenly go from one day being in a reserve and suddenly all the park rules come the next day. But a lot of our guys, most of our guides are trained to do game walks as well. So they all walk with a gun, and there's normally two of them. And really, for those of you who haven't done a game walk before, it is just the best way to get into the bush. It's not about the big game, it's about the smaller things. It's about the millipedes, it's about the trees, it's about the leaves, it's about the grasses. It's just such a lovely way to get out and really kind of immerse yourself in the bush. And normally we finish with our beautiful bush breakfast overlooking the lake. So Selous is one of the best places in Africa for seeing wild dog. And we're very lucky because we're by the lake. There's a normally a denning pack quite near the lake, and July, August is their classic denning time. September, October is the dry season in Selous. This is a time when the animals are under, it's a very dramatic time because the animals are under stress from the water levels going down, there not being as much food. So it's actually quite a dramatic time to come and go on safari, because you see kind of some pretty spectacular experiences and behaviours. But wild dog because wild dog needs such a huge territory, so the Selous is one of the best places in Africa for seeing them. And we're very lucky, every time I've been there, I've seen a wild dog. So there's 800 dogs remaining, and as I say, because they need such a huge territory, that's why they really thrive in the Selous. Selous, actually, I must always say, has got lots of giraffe. It's known as a giraffe park. So if you've got clients who are obsessed by giraffe, then send them to the Selous. They'll be absolutely delighted. So then moving on to Ruaha. So normally to fly between Selous and Ruaha takes about an hour. It can take slightly longer than that sometimes if maybe the plane it's a bit like if they have other people to pick up, they can do a few stops within the Selous along the way. But normally it takes about an hour to fly between the Selous and Ruaha. Ruaha is an amazing park. It's almost like the geography of it is where the biomes of Southern Africa meet the biomes of East Africa. So the southern part of the park is more like Southern Africa, so more koppies and more kind of bush style, and then the northern part of the park is more kind of open savanna. And so it's actually a really nice park to do a twin centre within it, because it's so varied. You don't feel like you're in the same park at all. Jonglamaru is in the southern part of the park. We are 60 kilometres away from the nearest camp, and our airstrip is Jonglamaru Airstrip, which is a 5-minute drive from the park. So this is real wilderness. For those of you in the UK, 60 kilometres is a distance from Reading to London. So that's the nearest camp to us. So it really is wilderness. You will not see another soul other than our other guests. There are only 10 suites in Jonglamaru. And again, very easy to access from direct from Dar, or from Selous, or from migration capital in the north. The rates are, again, like surrounded like all the properties, the same all year round, $700. And activities, we do game drives, game walks. We also do fly camping in Jonglamaru, which is just the most special thing to do. I understand for you guys, it's quite hard to sell the concept of fly camping to guests who are paying to stay in a tented room, and then they have to pay a supplement. It's $245, and all of that supplement is paid to the park for extra park fees they charge for us doing the fly camping. None of it is taken by the camp at all. But it is the most special thing to do, and I'll talk to you about it a little bit later on. So there's only 8 rooms in Jonglamaru, and they're all built along this dry riverbed, which always has a lot of game here, because particularly in the dry season, the elephants come down and dig down onto the sand riverbed to get the water. The lounge is elevated on the bend in the river, so you have this amazing view down the dry riverbed. This is our bar and lounge area, and this is a very, very common sighting. The elephants are, when I was there in November last year, the day before we got there, they'd seen a herd of 300 elephants that had come down from the hills. So there can be a lot of elephants in this area, particularly on times of the year when it's according to the rains. So these are the rooms. So they're all overlooking the dry riverbed. You can see actually the Ellies in the distance in that image there. So it's lovely because you always have game at the front of your rooms to sit and look at. Very kind of big and spacious, very comfortably styled. And then, like Surrounding, we have a swimming pool. This is actually where we have Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi in all our camps. In Surrounding, it's by the reception area. In Jongomere, it's here by the pool. In Ras Kutani, it's next to the pool as well. And again, a common visitor to our pool as well. And then, like all the camps, we always vary where we have dinner in the evening. So sometimes you can have it by the pool, sometimes you can have it down in the dry riverbed. They have a little boma area as well. So they always vary guests. And again, in light of what the kind of post-COVID-19 travel will be looking for, there's so much space. You've only got 8 rooms, and if they don't want to, they can come nowhere near any other guests if that's what they want. But it's just such a very, very topography around where we are. So we have this beautiful acacia woodland. We have these riverbeds. We have the dry riverbeds, and just these big herds of ellies that come down, and just amazing, amazing bird life as well in the Ruaha. So it's a fantastic game experience, but with another soul, no one else there, which is just very, very special. So the fly camping I was saying before about what an amazing experience it is. What we do is with the guests, our team go ahead and set up the fly camp. It's about 40 minutes drive away from our main camp. We'll then drive the guests most of the way there, and then we'll drop them off their guide, and they walk the last hour into the camp. So they really feel like they are in the middle of nowhere, and then they discover this very simple but very comfortable camp where they stay overnight, and they have a small team with them to look after them. And it's just the most kind of raw and pure way of experiencing the safari. We had an operator used to give this as a gift for their honeymoon couples because they could never, people just didn't really understand the concept of it, and it was always a highlight. So if you can sell it as a concept to your clients, they will never be disappointed. It's just amazing. So yeah, it's just the most amazing kind of private experience to have. And then we have these beautiful baobabs, which are very iconic in Ruaha. So moving on to Fanjove Island. So Fanjove joined the Selous Safari Company portfolio in August 2018. And this is a real jewel in the crown of the Tanzanian coastline. It's the most beautiful, beautiful island. It's only 1 kilometre long, so it's very small. And it has this amazing old German lighthouse that dates back to 1884. Which is very iconic, and it's lovely because as you come up to the island, you can see this white lighthouse just getting closer and closer, and it just builds the excitement. When Selous Safari Company took over the island, it had been owned by a company called Essential Destinations that also owned Coastal, their domestic airline. And they've done an amazing job. They've run it for about 7 or 8 years, and they've done an amazing job, particularly in terms of the marine conservation. When Essential Destinations took over the island, the marine life was decimated. The fishing had been literally nearly all fished out. They'd been using dynamite fishing, which is incredibly damaging for the coral. They'd been fishing from the coast, so that all the coral around the island was just decimated. And Essential Destinations started a project of working very closely with the local fishermen to really kind of educate them about the importance of managing their fishing. So within a couple of years, they could see that if they manage the fishing more closely by having permits and by allowing a kind of 3-month no fishing period, the fish life would then come back and be far more plentiful. So Selous Safari Company, with conservation and community being at their core, have really taken this on to the next level and working very, very closely with the local community to really develop this concept and also to protect the island. So part of the island is this beautiful German lighthouse, which when they took over the island, it was completely derelict, and they rebuilt that main tower, and you can see at the top there's a really cool viewing platform. And actually, when I was there in November, year before last, with my colleague, we had just arrived on the island, and we were there having a sundowner, and the manager was like, "Oh, today is a very special day." And we said, "Yes, because we're here, having got here finally." And he said, "No, today is the first time the light has shone in 54 years since independence, and they'd fixed the lighthouse light that day. And so as we arrived, the light shone for the first time, which has got to be a signal. But it's amazing. So it's not a hugely strong lighthouse beam, but it's just lovely. And it just, it's just this amazing old German lighthouse. And as you walk in the door, you can look above and you can see the old original German newspaper from they actually used to build the lighthouse. And the plan is actually to keep it pretty much as a wreck at the bottom, because it's very kind of atmospheric. And it's just a lovely, lovely lighthouse. But the other thing that's very, very special is about this island is the marine life. So when Selous Safari Company took over the island, they wanted to keep it really as it was for a season, to see how it kind of ran and what changes they need to make. And the initial plan was actually to completely redo the rooms, because as you see, they're really quite rustic. But then what they realised was actually that was the total vibe of the island. It is very, very understated. It's all about the marine life and the natural beauty shining out, rather than having big, plush, luxurious rooms. It's just, you know, the rooms are very comfortable. They are quite rustic, but actually what you can do is this coral reef right in front of the main beach. You can go swimming. Every guest gets fitted with their own mask and snorkel when they arrive, and then go swimming in this now amazing coral all around the island. There's also an 11-kilometre coral reef surrounding the island, which is an amazing dive site. And there's only 6 rooms on the island. So you will only be one of 5 other couples staying there. So again, it's this amazing kind of luxury of having privacy, as opposed to luxury of being kind of uber flash. So as I mentioned, it's only about 1 kilometre long, and it's almost divided into 2. You've got the southern part, which is a more sandy part, and the northern part, which is the coral. It's amazing, amazing bird life there as well. They have the migratory species that come through. So you've got phenomenal bird life on the island. We also have turtle hatching as well. And you can do a nature walk around the island, which took about 40 minutes when we did it. And there's a little trail you can follow. So it's really, so to get there, as I mentioned earlier, it's a 40-minute flight from Dar es Salaam down to Mafia. You stay on the plane in Mafia and you do a short hop across to Songo. You then get off in Songo and you're met by this brilliant red tuk-tuk that drives you 5 minutes across the island. And then you're transferred in a traditional dhow that sail you across to the island, which takes about 40 minutes again. It's not an arduous journey. The journey is all part of the adventure, because when you're in the plane, it's a beautiful coastline flight over the Tanzanian coast. Then you're on this brilliant little tuk-tuk, and then you're on this beautiful dhow. So it's not an arduous journey at all. The rates are very, very affordable. Our beach property rates are full board, but excluding drinks, and the safari camps are all inclusive. So the rates are $400 per person. These are the 2021 rates. $400 per person per night, and again, that's all season round rate, and that also is the stay pays are applicable there as well. So activities, well, it's all focused around the marine environment. So you have diving, you have snorkeling, you have dolphin, or what we call our marine adventure, where you can go out and see dolphins, and I was very lucky, saw a humpback whale when I was there in November last year. You've got bird watching, you've got kayaking, we've also got kite surfers, got dhow sailing, fishing, deep sea fishing, so we don't do it off the coast, but deep sea fishing, and then the nature trail as well. So there's lots of different activities to do. The kind of guests that work well for Fanjove are guests who are probably maybe a bit more adventurous. As you'll see, it's this little tuk-tuk that you jump on, which is great, and there's 2 tuk-tuks on the island, and when he drives you, he beeps the horn before he goes around any bend, in case the other tuk-tuk on the whole island happens to be coming the other way towards him when you're driving. So it's quite good fun. And then you jump on this beautiful old dhow and sail across, and as I see it said, you see the lighthouse just getting closer and closer, and then you see this beautiful, beautiful white sandy beach that meets you. So these are the banders. There are 6 of them. They're very, very spaced apart. They're all kind of open. They've got the doors you see at the front can close at night, but actually most guests quite like leaving them open to have a breeze. You see the little steps going up, that's the little balcony area at the top. And then the bathroom is behind the main bed area. So they're very simple, they're very kind of eco-friendly, but they're very comfortable. The beds are really comfy, the shower's strong, the water's hot. It's just, yeah, very, 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 very simple, very comfortable. This is the main dining area. The food here, because it is Selous Safari Company, their food is exceptional. So the food is really, really good here. And the team are just lovely. They're very, very professional and really, can't do enough for you. So this is there's an aerial view of the lighthouse with the sundown viewing deck, and then different excursions. Well, so you got because there's only 6 rooms and there's so many different activities you can do and choose from. Really, you can be very private about the things you do. You can go and be taken to a sandbank where you have a sandbank excursion and go for a picnic lunch. These are coconut crabs, which are very, very rare. They're the world's biggest crabs, and there's only a few places in the world where they're left, and Fanjove is one of them. So a big part of what we do in terms of conservation is actually we monitor these coconut crabs, and we forward it onto the coconut crab mapping company that are monitoring them around the world. And that's quite a good fun experience to do as well, is actually to help the staff measure them and sex them and then fill in details. But amazing bird life. This is our dive centre. As I mentioned, it's an 11-kilometre coral reef. I've got a booklet on all the different activities you can do in Fanjove, which I can forward on to you after the webinar. And then the dolphins. There are spinner and bottlenose dolphins around Fanjove, and they are very, very common to see. I've got someone asked about the best time to go. The best thing for me to do is I've got a PDF which is broken down into months, and you can see exactly when's best for bird life, when's best for dolphins, and what the average temperature and thing is. So I'll send that through to you as well, because it's quite a useful quick reference guide. But when I was on the island a year and a half ago, we were there in November, and we went on a marine excursion, and we saw a pod of about 220 dolphin, and we actually went swimming with them, which was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. They basically lowered us quite slowly down into the water, either side of the boat, and they had a kind of rope on the side with a handle, and you had your mask and a snorkel, and once you're in the water and you're horizontal, so the dolphins effectively see you, a bit like being in a safari vehicle, they see you as one with the boat. And they start the boat very, very slowly and start effectively pulling you along, but it's very safe. And the dolphins just love the boat, and they don't see you as a separate entity to the boat. So they came and just swam all around us, and it was just one of those moments where, and it was just myself and my colleague Catherine, and we were just like, it was just one of those moments in life where you're like, I can't believe I'm actually witnessing this. And they were just calling to each other as they were swimming under the water. And then when we came up, we saw an amazing, this wasn't a photo of the whale we saw, but we saw a humpback whale smacking her tail in the water. And I said to the manager, you know, what's she doing? He said, oh, I think she's calling a mate. And then we realised that actually she was calling her baby, who came right by our boat. And I'll include the link to the blog that my colleague Catherine wrote following our stay, because it was just amazing. And you know, we were the only two people on the boat and having these incredible experiences. And that's, you know, obviously we were very lucky. We saw humpback whale and we saw dolphins. The dolphins, because they feed back to us exactly who's seen what, they are seen regularly. The humpback whales at a certain time of year, and I think we were very lucky. It's October, November for the whales, and we caught right at the end of that season. A question I'm asked often about is whale sharks. We actually don't get whale sharks on Fanjove Island. You get them much more in Mafia. Having said that, in January this year, we actually had our first whale shark near the island, which was incredible, but I wouldn't sell it as a whale shark destination. Mafia is much more, is where you see a lot more whale sharks. Definitely for us, you can see dolphins, and if you go at a certain time of year, you've got a high chance of seeing humpback whales, but not, unfortunately, whale sharks. We also have a lot of turtle hatchings that the team work very closely with to help monitor, and is an amazing site. And then we've got our beautiful dhows, so we do dhow sailing. So yes, that's the end of the presentation. I've got quite a few comments here to ask. Is there a flight from Zanzibar to Songo Songo? No, you have to go via Dar es Salaam. So the only way to get to Songo Songo is to go via Dar. Could you discuss best time to visit for each of the camps? What I'll do is I will send you this. We've got a PDF for each of the camps, as I say, this monthly breakdown of not only the best time to go, but what you can see in terms of, you know, insects, birds, whatever. It's quite a useful reference guide. How would you combine all these camps in one trip? We actually had, at the beginning, I showed you that PDF of the kind of summary of different itineraries you can do. I'll send that through to you because that showed you very clearly how you can combine it. And also I've got a more detailed PDF for each itinerary. So you can see exactly in more detail how you can combine them all. Would you rate these camps 4 or 5 star? For me, I think Selous Safari Company is 4.5 star. I love working with them because they do all the important things right. It's all about the guest experience, it's about the staff. The way they look after the staff is amazing. They're not uber luxe. There are definitely more flashy places out there, but they have a real kind of genuine heart and soul that has been developed over 32 years. So that's why they didn't rebuild Fanjove to make it uber flash. They've actually kept it, the essence of the island very much itself, which is a very beautiful rustic island, and it's all about the marine life as opposed to flashy accommodation, but also the price point, you know, reflects that. They're very, very well priced. So I'm just going to get a few more question and answers coming up here. Good question about the taxi fly in, so not the Sawandu area. We don't have taxi fly in Selous, in Sawandu. You do have taxi fly in Jongamero, in Ruaha. And actually, I've been there twice and I have never been bitten, but I am very, very thorough about putting on. They've got excellent insect repellent there, and don't wear dark clothes because they love dark clothes. So in essence, there are tsetse fly,
But we very, very rarely get complaints about it, partly because we manage it well with the guests, so we make sure they're covered up. We burn a dried elephant dung, actually, in a little pot in the back of the vehicles, which the flies hate. So they're protected by not in Selous, they're only in Ruaha. Do you have the big five? No, unfortunately we don't. We don't have rhino where the camps are. Sorry, your prices, are they per room, per person? The prices are per person. Will off-roading still be allowed once the reserve is designated in the national park? I think it will. I think the whole, I mean, don't quote me, but I think the whole transition is going to be relatively slow. And that is part of the beauty of the reserve, is you are allowed to off-road. It's only been announced, it's been designated in December, so they're still working through the process. But I should imagine it won't change dramatically in terms of what they can actually offer the guests. Is a hydroelectric plant in Selous expected to affect the water levels of the lakes and rivers near the camp? I should think it would do, but for the better, because they can control it more, because it's going to be a dam, so it's going to be a bit like Kariba in terms of monitoring the water levels. It was only started last June, and it's going to take 3 years, and it's actually slowed, as you can imagine, quite a lot with the current situation, so it's probably going to take longer than 3 years. So we won't know until quite a few seasons' time exactly how it may affect it. But I think if it does, it will probably affect it for the better, because they can actually control the water levels more. Do they have a dive operation at the hotel? I presume that's Fanjove. Yes, they do. They have a dive centre. Now they're not qualified to do PADI courses, but if you are a PADI qualified diver, they can then take you out. What kind of wildlife do you have on the island? Well, we have our coconut crabs. You also have amazing bird life, and you also have mainly marine wildlife. Yeah, amazing marine environment, amazing octopus and fish. And again, I'll send you the kind of information on the activities, which tells you more about the marine life. When's the best season to dive, and when can we expect underwater? The coral is pristine now because it's been so well managed, and they've got a lot of different variety of fish. And again, I'll send you the diving information we have. The best season, I'll send it on to you on this PDF, but it's really, it all depends on the winds as well, because I think particularly in kind of October time, the winds can be getting stronger. So obviously then it's more wavy, and it's not as, the visibility isn't as good. We are closed from the 15th of March to the 1st of June. So it's good, I think, particularly over our summertime is very, very good. What's availability like for 2022? Wow, I think we've probably got some space available. I think it's fine. You can actually see our reservations team are amazing. Festus, our reservations manager, has been there for 22 years, and he is so efficient. And they will get back to you very quickly about the availability. But I hope that's helped. I think I've answered all the questions. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and I will hope to see you at our webinar next week. So next week is actually with Fran Heard from Coandani, Botswana. So we'll be doing a joint presentation on Botswana next week. So hopefully we will see many of you there. But in the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, our Coandani webinar next week. Thanks very much.